Hello and welcome to TTV News with some latest events in the province and across the country. Ladies and gentlemen, on the afternoon of April 24, 2025, a working delegation led by Mr. Yu Van Thắng, Vice Chairman of the TayNinhTV Provincial People's Committee, visited and presented gifts to policy beneficiary families and people with meritorious services to the revolution in TayNinh City.
At this location, the Vice Chairman Yu Van Thắng warmly inquired about the health and living conditions of the families. He expressed their gratitude for their sacrifice and immense contribution to the national liberation struggle and the country's development. He also encouraged them to continue promoting their revolutionary tradition and to actively participate in the social duties appropriate to their circumstances and contributing to the development of their hometown. On this occasion, on behalf of the Provincial Party Committee, the People's Council, the People's Committee, and the Vietnam Thailand Front Committee of the TayNinh Province, the Vice Chairman Yu Van Thắng presented the gifts and extended the best wishes for the health and well-being to the families. The visits demonstrated the local government's genuine care and respect for the people with meritorious service and the policy beneficiaries.
On the morning of April 24 at Thanh Thanh Công Industrial Park, located in Trang Bang Thao, TayNinh Economic Zone Trade Union have a ceremony to launch Workers' Month and the Action Month for Occupational Safety and Hygiene 2025.
This year, Workers' Month is themed Vietnamese workers pioneering into a new era, marking an opportunity to promote innovation, creativity, and awaken the spirit of resilience and the pivotal role of workers during the age of integration and digital transformation. At the same time, the Action Month for Occupational Safety and Hygiene was also launched to raise awareness, proactively prevent workplace accidents, and foster a safe and human worker environment. On this occasion, 3 collectors and 8 individuals were awarded certificates of merit by the Vietnam General Confederation of Labour. Many other teams and individuals also received emulation flags and certificates of merit from TayNinh Provincial Labour Confederation. During the event, the Economic Zone Trade Union awarded 3 trade union houses to union members and workers facing housing difficulties. Additionally, 200 gift packages, each worth 800,000 Vietnam dong, were given to members and workers in difficult circumstances or affected by workplace accidents and occupational illnesses.
And on April 24th, at TayNinh Radio and Television Station, Mr. Vũ Xuân Trường, Director of TayNinh Radio and Television Station, and Mr. Lê Hồng Phước, Editor-in-Chief of Long An Newspaper and Radio Television Station, co-chair a meeting to exchange experiences in the program production between the 2 units. And during the meeting, both sides share experiences in organizing the production of news programs, the features and specialized segments, as well as techniques for on-site reporting. They emphasized the importance of timely, accurate information updates and maintaining clear editorial direction in today's multi-platform media landscape. And the leadership of the Radio and Television Station and Long An Newspaper and Radio and Television Station agreed to enhance cooperation in producing the live news broadcast to be aired simultaneously on both stations in the near future. And this initiative aims to expand the coverage and better meet the information needs of the public. Additionally, the 2 units will work closely with the sharing news sources and exchanging information and helping to enrich and diversify the content of daily news broadcasts.
In celebration of the 50th anniversary of the liberation of the South, national reunification and the liberation of TayNinh Province, April 3, 1975, April 3, 2025, preparations for the Grand April 3 celebration are in full swing at the open air space of Xuân Hồng Park, with relevant agencies and units working diligently. At the event site, a large welcome gate has been erected. Panels, banners, and images of President Ho Chi Minh, the Communist Party of Vietnam, and heroic TayNinh during the 2 resistance wars against French colonialists and American imperialists, as well as modern-day TayNinh, full of potential responsibility and development, are being urgently finalized by the construction unit. In addition, 50 books representing provincial agencies and political social organizations are being completed today, April 24. This book will feature images, artifacts, and writers reflecting the province's achievements in economy, culture, society, national defense, and security over the past 50 years since its liberation. Everything is being finalized to be ready for the opening and welcoming locals and visitors. The exhibition will run from April 25th to May 2nd, 2025.
Ladies and gentlemen, during the historic Ho Chi Minh campaign following the motto "Khmer liberate themselves, Districts liberate themselves," the army forces and people of Tây Ninh launched a simultaneous offensive to liberate their homeland. At exactly 11 a.m. on April 30, 1975, Tây Ninh were completely liberated, contributing significance to Goliath's victory of the Vietnamese nation. In the following report, let's look back at the historic milestone of Tây Ninh military and people during the Ho Chi Minh campaign, a golden chapter in our national history that will never be forgotten.
And after the victory at Padang Mountain in the early January of 1975, the Southern Command, the forward unit of the Central Military Commission and Ministry of National Defense, reinforced Tây Ninh with the 2 additional regiments. And on the night of March 11 of 1975, at the western front of the Vam Cỏ Đông River, the Company 61 of Bến Cầu District local armed forces, along with the guerrilla units, guided upper-level troops to strike Bến Cầu and 3 western communes of Trảng Bàng District of Phước Lưu, Phước Chỉ, and Bình Thạnh. And by 3 p.m. on March the 15th, the Tây Ninh forces has full control over Bến Cầu and the 3 communes. The first liberated district was Bến Cầu, when the division of 232 advanced towards Bến Lức Long An to cut off the retreat route of the Saigon Wrecking forces heading west, and they stopped at Bến Cầu. Commander Nguyễn Minh Châu, also known as the Mr. Nam Nga, led the division, equivalent to a corps, and within 1 day and 1 night, all enemy outposts in Bến Cầu were cleared. We attacked simultaneously from the Long Khánh, Long Giang, Chợ Cầu, Tiên Thuận, Rừng Dâu, on the way to Mộc Bài and An Thạnh, and the final targets is Long Giang, Long Khánh, Tiên Thuận, Lợi Thuận, An Thạnh, and Mộc Bài were captured, and only the Bảo An outpost remained. So the main forces continued to shift, and meanwhile the local troops surrounded it closely to intercept any fleeing remnants. In line with its mission, Tây Ninh Provincial Party Committee used a strategy of self-liberation at the commune and district level, ensuring that the enemy forces couldn't retreat to other strongholds and urging locals to send their children to strengthen the liberation forces. To prepare for the liberation, Tây Ninh mobilized over 3,000 young people from across the province to join the armed forces also, and from an initial force of just 3 battalions, Tây Ninh expanded to 12. Each district contributed a battalion with Trảng Bàng and Châu Thành each forming the 2, and then being residents supported the formation of 30 independent companies used throughout the province in the Ho Chi Minh campaign. On April 29 of 1975, Trảng Bàng became the second district in Tây Ninh to achieve the self-liberation. Following that, the district of Tòa Thánh, Gò Dầu, U Minh Châu, and Châu Thành were also liberated in a rapid succession. In Tây Ninh town on April 30 of 1975, the liberation forces approached from multiple directions and surrounding and gaining control. At 11 a.m., Colonel Bùi Đức Tài, the then provincial governor of Tây Ninh, declared unconditional surrender and making the complete liberation of Tây Ninh province. We were tasked with attacking Tây Ninh military sub-zone as the main force. We reached and captured the provincial governor's office at exactly 11 a.m., which was even half an hour earlier than the fall of Saigon. And the liberation of Tây Ninh was the hard-won fruit of a long revolutionary struggle, marked by sacrifice and bloodshed of the generations of heroes and martyrs, and it paved the way for the peace, independence, and a united Vietnam, joining the nation on the path towards socialism.
Continue the program with domestic news. Ladies and gentlemen, On April 23rd, at the headquarters of the Central Party, General Secretary To Lam met with Mr. Daniel Brosen, CEO of Brosen Partner Group from the United States.
At the meeting, General Secretary To Lam welcomed the interest of Brosen Partners Group in investing in Vietnam. He affirmed that Vietnam encourages investment in the development of culture, tourism, and promoting people-to-people exchanges. He also welcomed cooperation between Vietnam and other countries, including the United States, in the field of science and technology, and requested the group to promote cooperation and investment in areas where the U.S. has strengths and Vietnam has needs, such as high-quality agriculture, training, and human resource development. Mr. Daniel Brosen committed to making efforts to implement investment projects in Vietnam, contributing to the development of Vietnam and the Vietnam-U.S. relationship.
On the morning of April 24, at the Presidential Palace, State President Lương Cường received the Ambassador of Australia and the Dominican Republic as they resented their presidential and commenced their duties in Vietnam.
Welcoming Mr. Graham Birds on her appointment as the ambassador extraordinary and plenipotentiary of the Australia to Vietnam, the state president expressed his appreciation to the Australian governor for assigning a diplomat with extensive experience and deep understanding of the Southeast Asia in general and Vietnam in particular, and pleased that Vietnam and Australia have upgraded their relationship to a comprehensive strategic partnership and signed an action program for its implementation for the 2024 and 2027 period. The state president affirmed that these frameworks are crucial for deepening and enhancing the cooperation in various fields. He also expressed his confidence that Ambassador Bird will have a successful term and make significant contributions to elevating bilateral ties to the new heights. Meanwhile, in his meeting with the ambassador of the Dominican Republic, he congratulated Mr. Fernando Rafael Espino Nunes on his appointment as ambassador extraordinary and plenipotentiary of the Dominican Republic to Vietnam, noting that his assumption of duties coincides with the two countries' celebration of the 20 years of diplomatic relations. Ambassador Fernando Rafael Espino Nunes expressed his pleasure at the taking of his post in Vietnam and was impressed by the warm hospitality he has received during his short time in the country. He stated that although the two nations are geographically distant, the Dominican people are long admired Vietnam's sharing history and struggle for the national independence and its current efforts in the national building and development. The ambassador affirmed that the president and the government of the Dominican Republic will wish to further strengthen the cooperation with Vietnam in all fields.
Ladies and gentlemen, at the invitations of General Secretary and President of Laos, Thong Lao Sinsulit, Vietnamese President Lương Cường paid a state visit to Laos from April 24 and 25. This marked his first official state visit to Laos, aiming to significantly deepen and enhance their relationships, especially solidarity and comprehensive cooperation between Vietnam and Laos. The visit is expected to bring greater prosperity to the people of both nations.
The visit comes at a time when the bilateral cooperation between Vietnam and Laos is flourishing. High-level agreements between the two parties and cooperation treaties between the two governments are being actively implemented using significant resources across various fields. I appreciate President Lương Cường visit to Laos. This is an opportunity for both sides to exchange views and further strengthen the relationship between our two countries, a relationship built with the blood and sacrifice of revolutionary soldiers and the people of both nations. Vietnam and Laos officially joined the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, in 1995 and 1997, respectively. Since then, both countries have enhanced bilateral cooperation while also actively contributing to ASEAN's mission to regional development. I firmly believe that no matter how the world may change, the determination of our two parties, governments and peoples, along with the future-oriented roadmap of our relationship, will only strengthen the rich friendship, special solidarity, and comprehensive cooperation between Vietnam and Laos, a bond built with sweat and blood by generations of our peoples. It will remain, as we say, deeper than the Red and Mekong rivers, stronger than mountains and rivers, and brighter than the full moon, more fragrant than the sweetest flowers. In the face of today's shifting global and regional landscape, Vietnam and Laos will continue to maintain resilience and unity, standing side by side to address contemporary challenges. Together, they aim to elevate their positions on the international stage and make meaningful contributions to building a peaceful, stable, cooperative, sustainable, and prosperous Asian community.
And on the evening of April 23rd, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính attended a high-level online conference on enhancing the climate action. The conference was co-hosted by the United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres and the Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, ahead of the 30th Conference of the Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on the Climate Change of COP30 scheduled to later this year. And in his speech at the conference, the Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính emphasized that the world is now living in a time where climate change is no longer a threat but a harsh reality that is seriously affecting every country and every citizen. In this context, the world needs a new mindset and a global, inclusive and comprehensive approach. The countries must unite to cooperate upon multilateralism, ensure the fairness and justice, and work together with specific, practical, and feasible cooperation mechanisms. In particular, resources for addressing climate change and sustainable development must be unlocked and mobilized. The Prime Minister called on all countries to unite, join hands, and take decisive climate action for a livable planet for all humankind, for the sustainable and enduring development of nations, and for the happiness and the well-being of all people.
Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính had just signed an urgent directive requesting ministry, sectors and localities to enhance efforts in ensuring security and public order during the April 30th and May 1st holiday period. Accordingly, the Prime Minister requested the Ministry of Public Security to closely monitor the situation to avoid passivity or surprises, ensure absolute safety for key targets, critical infrastructure, and major political, economic, cultural, social, and diplomatic events nationwide. The Ministry of National Defense is tasked with conducting recognitions and surveillance, especially within cyberspace, and promptly responding to any activities that could affect national defense and security. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism, in coordination with the Central Propaganda and Mass Mobilization Departments, is to guide media outlets in boosting communications efforts while actively identifying and preventing the spread of harmful, divisive, and false information that could disrupt national unity online. Provinces and centrally governed cities are instructed to direct relevant agencies and functional units to firmly grasp the local situation, proactively implement response plans, and resolutely prevent complications in public security and order. Authorities are also urged to swiftly detect, prevent, and swiftly handle any violations.
The audience, the Vietnam Connect Forum 2025, officially kicked off with the theme Vietnam FDI Strategies in the New Era. This is the fifth time the forum has been held by the Institute for Policy and Strategy Research under the Central Policy and Strategies Committee in coordination with Vietnam Economy Time, VN Economy.
This year's forum emphasized the critical role of foreign direct investment (FDI) amidst the rapidly changing global economic landscape. As Vietnam enters a new era, delegates highlighted the need for more selective and effective FDI inflows that meet the demands of modern development. The current view on attracting FDI focuses on quality, efficiency, technology, and environmental sustainability instead of merely chasing large numbers or reduce the capital. The emphasis should be on linking FDI with domestic enterprises. As of the end of March 2025, Vietnam had more than 42,760 active FDI projects, with total registered capital exceeding $510 billion. Increasingly, global corporations and leading companies with advanced technologies are investing in Vietnam. As a member of the Dutch Business Association in Vietnam and Eurotime, we acknowledge that Vietnam has created a favorable investment and operational environment, not only for FDI enterprises, but for all businesses engaged in production and export. According to experts, to meet its development goals, Vietnam must pursue administrative reform, improve workforce quality, and strengthen international cooperation. Additionally, it is crucial to implement targeted investment policies, prioritizing projects with positive impacts, and focusing on the development of key economic regions.
And today, TTV News wraps up now. Thank you for your attention and see you in the next program.